All right, guys, we are back in my garage for another video, and something's a little bit different. Can you tell? No, it's not my haircut. Yes, I brushed my teeth, but we finally got the Sparko installed. I actually bought this almost a year ago, so I'm excited to finally get it in the car. But naturally, this was probably one of the most tedious and frustrating installs I've had to do on this car, besides maybe the reflex kit. So let's go ahead and take a look at how it installed and the reason why it was so difficult.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and take this seat out. And if you guys saw my previous video where I showed you how to take out the passenger seat and did all the testing to see how much faster the car is with some weight reduction, first of all, of course, definitely go check out that video. I'll have it linked down below. But also the front driver's seat removes pretty much exactly the same. So we're gonna leave power to the seat at first, push it all the way forward so that we can remove the two bolts that are holding it down in the back. Also, don't forget, we're going to have to remove the seat belt. So unclip this cover and then remove the screw holding it onto the seat. Then we're going to slide it all the way back so we can remove the two bolts that are holding it down in the front. Then we're going to go disconnect the battery because the seat is connected to the airbags and we don't want one of those to go off accidentally. And then we'll be able to come back to the front of the car, lift up the seat so we can unplug the airbag connector underneath it, and then carefully remove it from the car.
All right, so there's just one thing I didn't anticipate, and that is the seatbelt buckle. So I'm going to be transferring this over to my aftermarket wheel setup or my aftermarket seat setup, because I'm not going to be using a harness. I'm going to be driving this on the street, so we're going to keep the 3-point seat belt. However, this thing is a lot more complicated than I expected. Normally, it's just kind of screwed onto the side of the seat, and you can unscrew it and then transfer it over. But this has a whole contraption attached, plus the connector for the sensor that makes sure your seatbelt is buckled. So I actually had to look this up. And what I think I saw is you can unscrew it right here to take all of this off. And then the wire that goes under the seat can actually be disconnected from the main seat harness. So that's what we're going to try to do. Cross your fingers for me. Wish me luck. Hopefully this is as simple as it sounds. All right, so first step is the bolt. Let's get this off. It's a T50. All right, that wasn't so bad. And then for the seat, so let's tilt this back carefully. Yeah, so what I saw, it's basically this white connector on the side can be removed just by itself. So they said squeeze these tabs or like pry it off from this side and it should come off. Let's see how easy this is. All right, so I just kind of figured out what's going on. So the first thing we're going to do is cut this zip tie to release the wires. And then over here on the yellow connector, you're basically going to pry up on this tab and push this up. And then down here on this yellow tab, you're going to push this down. So push up on the top tab, push down on the bottom tab, and then this white connector actually slides out this way from the yellow connector, and that will allow you to release all of these wires. So not too bad. So yeah, you're just basically getting this ear and this ear released from these yellow tabs on the yellow connector. All right, and then there's one more clip holding it on right there. So pry this clip off and then you'll have the whole seatbelt buckle released. All right, guys, and now finally we get to the fun part. So this is everything we're going to be installing today. And this is basically everything you need to install an aftermarket seat. Only one thing is missing, but let's go ahead and start with what we've got. So the first thing is the seat base, and this is what you're going to actually mount to the floor. And this is essentially an adapter that allows you to fit any aftermarket seat. So I got these planted bases. I will have a link to it in the video description. I bought mine from Amazon, so you guys can use my affiliate link and that helps support the channel. But basically this is designed to fit specific platforms. So you pick the one for your car and then you pick either the driver side or the passenger side. So this is the driver side, since we're only installing the one seat for me in the driver's seat. And then the passenger side looks like this, just flipped. It does have the connector so you can mount your seatbelt buckle as well. So we'll be mounting that there, and otherwise you just mount the seat to it. Now, the next thing we're going to be installing are these Sparco brackets. There are a lot of other brackets that probably work, but I just like using the Sparco mounts, and I already had these in my attic. So we're just going to wipe them off, get all the cobwebs off, and then mount these to my all-time favorite bucket seat. So these are Sparco Evos. This is the XL size because I'm a big boy. If you guys are big boys as well, then this will be the perfect seat for you. It's designed to fit up to a 38-inch waist. So if you've ever sat in Recaro pole positions or anything else and they were feeling pretty tight, they also make an Evo L, and then this is the Evo XL. So depending on your size, you can pick the seat that works for you. But I love these. They're super comfortable even when you're driving on them daily. And then of course on track, it really is tight. You know, it keeps you grounded to the car. You can feel everything that the car is doing underneath you, prevents you from moving around under, you know, high speed turns, heavy braking, all of that. It just keeps you a lot more secure. And of course, it's much lighter than the stock seat. So this is a part of our weight reduction journey for my next track day to help allow us to get the car faster and compensate for, you know, the almost 3,700 pounds that the 340 weighs. So this is going to be an awesome upgrade. Can't wait to get this in. The only thing that's missing, like I said, there is one thing missing, and that is a slider. So a lot of people like to put a slider onto the base, and that will allow you to slide the seat forwards and backwards and kind of adjust the position. The reason why I don't do sliders is because it raises the seat up. And I've had issues in the past where my head actually hits the roof of the car. It was to the point I had to remove these bottom cushions in my last car just in order to fit it with my helmet on. Otherwise, my helmet was hitting the ceiling. So we'll see how much room I have. If I have a lot of extra room, or if I feel like I'm sitting really low, then I can get the sliders and give me a little bit of extra adjustability. They install pretty easily, but as it stands, there's already a lot of adjustment in this bracket, and this is kind of where the real fun starts. So you can mount it as high or as low as you want. You can mount it a little forward or a little backwards, but we're going to have a fixed position. So it's going to be a lot of trial and error no matter what. I'm going to try to install everything kind of in a middle general setting, and then we can adjust it after I get everything set up in the car, and we'll just have to install it, put it in, take it back out, adjust it over and over until we get it where I want it. So let's go ahead and do this. Now, I think I mentioned this before, but just in case I didn't, I bought the seat used, and so it didn't come with any hardware. But Sparco seats and most aftermarket seats mount with M8 by 1.25 screws. That's the thread pattern. So what I'm going to do is just use all of these extra bolts and nuts and washers and stuff that I bought to install it myself. So this is the way that I'm going to do it. Not saying it's perfect, but my biggest concern is that these screws will kind of loosen over time from all the vibrations and everything that the car is going to go through. So I bought these flange nuts. They have kind of like a serrated surface to help it maintain torque. And then on the bottom, I've got locking washers as well as locking nuts. So that way I can tighten this down and make sure over time, like I said, it won't loosen. I bought a bunch of them. I know I need at least 8 because you need 4 to mount the seat brackets to the base, and then also 4 more to mount the base to the seats. So hopefully some combination of this will work, but the M8 screws fit both the seat and all of these holes perfectly. So do whatever you're comfortable with, whatever combination you're a fan of. We're going to kind of install everything a little bit loose at first. And then once we get the seat kind of positioned in here, make sure this is like the right width and everything, then we'll start tightening down all of the hardware. All right, so yeah, we've got everything mounted a little bit loose. What you can actually do is either look up the specs or just measure the distance between the holes on your seat to kind of space this out and then tighten it down so it's kind of in the general location. And then you know, you can mount it. The thing for me, again, because this is an Evo 3, it's a little bit wide, so I don't know like where it will fit really well in the car. So I'm probably going to keep this loose so I can slide the seat back and forth and make sure it's not too tight to the center console that's going to be on this side, but also not too tight to like the B pillar and stuff on this side. So it's going to be a tight fit, but we're going to make it work. So leaving these loose, then we'll go ahead and bring the seat in, and I think I'm going to try to recline it a little bit. So what you can do on here is pick the holes you want to use, so you can mount it low on one side and high on the other, or, you know, kind of whatever makes it fit the way that you want it to. It gives you a little bit of room to like recline the seat. So I'm going to start with it reclined at least 1 inch back or one like setting back. So I'll probably mount it low on this one, and then on the second highest or second lowest setting on this one, and we'll see how it feels. And 30 seconds in, and we already ran into our first issue. So this is where the trial and error comes into play. The back screws fit, but the front screws do not. This isn't wide enough, and as you can see, it's kind of like tapered. So I'm going to need to undo these screws and swing it out to the next setting on the front corners, and then realign it to try to get everything to fit. So this is kind of what I'm talking about. It's going to be a lot of trial and error. Just be ready to be very patient, test fitting everything to get it all lined up until you get it all to work. All right, and I think this is going to be the final setup. So I actually tilted it back a little bit more just because once I sat in it, it felt like I was leaning forward. So I put the front adjustment all the way at the top, and then the rear one, I put it second from the bottom. Reason is because I still need to be able to access this bolt to tighten everything down. So again, there's going to be some trial and error. Just kind of keep test fitting it and adjusting as needed until you get everything positioned how it should be in the car. So let's go ahead and put it in the car, and we'll see how it all fits. Well, it's touching everywhere, but it fits. It does sit really low though. I think with my helmet it should give me ample room, but I probably could install it with a slider. But I think once everything is bolted down, I should be in a pretty good position. So let's go ahead and take it back out and finish up the seatbelt stuff.
Why didn't you just go home? That's your home! Are you too good for your home?
And boom. As you can see, we've got the seat pretty much in its final form. But the embarrassing thing is, it's the next day. I couldn't even get this all installed and set up in one day. It's just a tedious process. It's kind of unexpected because it looks like something you just bolt everything together, put it in the car, and drive away. But there are so many little things that need to be adjusted, and it goes in and out and in and out, and you constantly have to make runs to the hardware store. So it is what it is. But here's kind of the final form. So what we've got here is an L bracket that I use to space this out, because as you saw, my buckle wasn't actually sticking up high enough. Now, it looks like it's sticking up really high, but honestly, when you're in the seat, that makes it more comfortable, and it still is able to hold you in tight because this can move. So it kind of wraps around you once you're actually seated. So this can stick up a lot higher than you probably think it should in order for it to be comfortable and still hold you in the seat securely. But this was the issue because it didn't have a bunch of flexibility up here. So in order to get, you know, the bend that allowed it to go through this hole lined up properly, I bought this aluminum angle and then made some holes to kind of mount it up like this, so that is mounted securely. But of course I couldn't install this without tightening these screws, so I had to tighten up all the seat bolts that are holding it onto the mount. Let's get that lit up. There we go. So get all these tightened, then retighten this. Then I went to put it into the car, and I realized the space under here wouldn't allow me to mount the OEM bolts, because the OEM bolts are those cap screws. And in order to do that, I would need to be able to get a socket in there to, you know, twist it and tighten it down. So had to go back to the hardware store again, got some regular hex bolts, some M10 by 1.5 bolts, and now I can at least put a box wrench on here to tighten it down in this tight space. So again, there's just a lot of little things that you run into and you don't know it until you actually get it in the car and figure out how everything's going to be lined up. Granted, a big part of it is also because this is the Evo XL, so it's probably the biggest bucket seat you can get, and that is going to create its own challenges compared to if you got a smaller seat. But I don't know what to tell you. This is America. So we've got it all set up now. I think the only other thing we have left is the actual seat belt, and I'm going to be running it through that hole, but it's going to mount onto the base down at the bottom where that bolt goes through. So the way that you do that is there's a little hook on it. You're going to straighten out that hook using some pliers, just bend it out so that it's straight. And then there's that little retaining washer that's holding the bolt onto the seat belt. So pry that washer off, and then you can remove the bolt, and then we're just going to lay it down flat at the bottom of the seat base so it goes through the same hole that mounts it to the floor, and that should keep it all secure. And just like that, we've got the seat finally installed. So this is its final resting position for the rest of the track season this year. I think honestly it fits great. It was touching in this front corner as well as against the B-pillar, but once I adjusted everything, it's pretty much just really snug. So I think overall, no regrets there. I did adjust the seatbelt position or the latch so that it would be sitting up a little bit higher, so that is a lot more comfortable as well when I sit in the car. And then you can kind of see the actual belt itself, how I installed it down here. So it's bolted to the bottom of the seat where it's bolted to the floor. So that is nice and secure. And yeah, plenty of room to sit nice and comfortably. This padding is obviously a lot softer than it looks. I know some people think this is like really hard, but this isn't like a tillet or anything. It's well padded, very comfortable. The only concern is it does absorb a lot of sweat because it's all cloth. So especially when you're tracking it, it may be worth, you know, kind of washing the seat from time to time. And especially now in the middle of summer, it's going to be a little bit sweaty sometimes. So we'll just make sure we keep it sanitized and everything. But otherwise, I definitely think it was worth it. So overall, maybe say the difficulty was like a 5 out of 10. Again, not objectively difficult. The bolts and everything all make sense. It's pretty straightforward. But I literally had it in and out of the car probably 6 times trying to get it all situated. Hopefully for you, it won't be that bad. If you follow this guide, it might make it a little more straightforward on what you need. But again, I highly recommend it. These seats are like half the weight of the stock seats, because I weighed the stock seats and my scale isn't perfect, but it was around 55 to 60 pounds. And then these Sparco seats are around 25 to 30. So if you were to do both of these on the front seats, that's easily dropping, like I said, 50 pounds. And then if you take the rear seats out as well, you get a pretty good weight saving. So that's what we're gonna do. Go ahead, take out the rear seats, go get a weighted alignment, and we'll be tracking the car like this for the rest of the year. All right, so now we're gonna do one more test fit, but this is kind of gonna reveal one of the biggest downsides of a bucket seat. There's no graceful way to get in and out. But let's see how we do. Hop in so she knows it's real. There we go. And we got the seat belt. A little tight, but we like hugs. And then we don't have a quick release wheel, but at least we can manually move it in and out to get some space. And yeah, this is pretty good. So when you're setting it up, you just want to make sure your wrist can sit on the wheel. Make sure when you push the brake all the way in, your knees are still slightly bent so you can get full brake pressure, and your arm should be, you know, around 90 degrees, holding the wheel at 9 and 3. So I think we're good. I think we finally got it. Thankfully, I don't have to do this again until I inevitably decide to put it in the 440, but that'll be another video for another day. So hopefully this helps you guys out, shows you a little bit of how to get the seat in here and, you know, what kind of options you need or what parts you need in order to make this work. And more coming soon. You know, we'll be bringing the car back to the track in a couple weeks, so hopefully we can accomplish what we're looking for. So for now, that's it for this video. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope this helps. And if we have any other questions or comments, leave them down below. All right, stop watching because I need to get back out of here. This is not going to go well. Oh. Okay. Oh, that's not so bad. Yeah, we're good.